Good evening to all the chess aspirants and viewers. On behalf of my team, Learn with Sayyam and Chess Mantra, I welcome you all to the Republic Day Live Chess Contest 2021. According to various studies, playing chess significantly improves children's visual memory, attention span, and reasoning ability, and it drives their energy towards good virtue. Chess is not only a game but also a way of life. Playing chess teaches us a lot of life lessons. Let me share with you the biggest lessons I have learned from chess. Take action and never let the opportunities pass by. Now, let me share few details about this chess contest. This contest will run for 90 minutes from 5 to 6:30 p.m. There will be time control rounds of 5 minutes each between the participants. All the top games of the contest will be shown in this video live. The top 3 winners of the contest will be awarded with cash prizes, and top 10 participants will be getting e-certificates. The prize distribution ceremony will take place on 26 January on Learn with Sayyam channel itself. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. I hope that all the viewers will enjoy the live matches taking place between the participants. Best wishes to all of us.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a good evening. I, Suvane Goyal, a student at Chess Mantra, your host for today's tournament, and in today's evening I will be analyzing the top games for you guys right here constantly in this meeting. Hope you all guys enjoyed the games. I'm joined by my co-host Rishan Sandwani, and without further delay, I would like him to go ahead and introduce himself. So Rishan, go ahead.
Hello everyone, my name is Rishan Sinwani Vora and I'm a Chess Mantra student. I'm very delighted to welcome you to this Chess Mantra January 26 January tournament. Thank you.
All right, Rishan. So let's delve right into these games. So the first game we're having is between Kanav Singh Dhingra and Vikraj Kapoor. It seems as if Kanav Singh Dhingra started his opening with e4 and then Vikraj replied with some sort of a misplaced system, kind of like e5, knight to a6, and Kanav seems to be facing some sort of troubles. Who do you think has the upper edge in the opening here? Rishan, can you hear me? All right, I guess Rishan might be having some audio issues. Regardless, looking at the games currently, I will be bilingual in my commentary. So I'd say that अभी गेम को देखते हुए लग रहा है कि black is resorting to some sort of activity, but कनव ने यहाँ पे क्या करा, बिशप टू a3 चल के एक पूरा ओके उन्होंने बिशप से नाइट एक्सचेंज कर लिया. आई वुड से वो एक वाइज डिसीजन नहीं था, बिकॉज नाउ द बिशप seems to be blocking the point of castling for the king, and without the castling the king seems to be vulnerable. Okay, we have e3 in the position, so e3 से अब हो सकता है कि castling करने के chances मिल जाएं. बिशप टेक्स a6 अभी आया. अभी बात ऐसी है कि वाइट के पास एक भी बिशप नहीं है. ये नाइट सेंटर पे अच्छे से कंट्रोल कर रहा है, बट ये नाइट बिल्कुल ही यूजलेस है इस कॉर्नर ऑफ द बोर्ड में. सो लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस. ऊपर से ये h4 चला रखा है, सो देयर इज अ चांस कि ब्लैक किंग से क्वीन सेट कैसल करके यहाँ पे b5 से सीधा अटैक ही कर दे. सो दैट माइट बी अ चांस, कंसिडरिंग कि ये 5+0 वाली गेम है, ब्लैक के पास ये चांसेस जरूर हैं. And we can see that Vikraj was already running at the top of this tournament alongside Shreya and Kanav, जिन्होंने two points each पहले से ही कमा लिए हैं, and then we have Harsh who also got 2 points for losing one game and winning one game. So we already into the tournament mess over here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it seems as if विकराज कैसल नहीं कर रहा है, वो अपने रुक को यहाँ पे लेके आया. किंग साइड कैसल करना उसके लिए यूजफुल नहीं रहेगा, बिकॉज देन दिस बी फाइल शुड बी एबल टू ट्रबल हिम इनफ कि यहाँ पे हम रुक क्वीन एंड एक और बैटरी बनाने के बाद ब्लैक को नलीफाई कर सकते हैं. बट लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस. कनव हैज गॉन फॉर क्वीन टू g3. Not so sure what's the plan is from Kanav's end over here, because white can always offer a queen trade. White can always go ahead with a queen to f2 and rook to g1, but we have had a queen trade over here. एंड अभी देखते हुए लग रहा है कि बिशप यहाँ पे बिल्कुल यूजलेस है. बिशप के पास दोनों डायगोनल्स बंद पड़े, दोनों उसके खुद के 5 डायगोनल्स को कवर कर रहे हैं. सो not really so sure what was Vikraj's plan over here, but दूसरे एंड पे ये रुक जो है, दिस इज acting like a pawn, possibly protecting this f2 square. This knight is basically not doing anything. This rook is very active on the e file और pawn को पिन करके रखा है. किंग भी सेम फाइल पर है. Knight is jumping now to c2 c7 and trying to give a check and then coming back. Let's see, probably white has a bit more activity, but then this bishop is a monstrous piece for black. ये बिशप अकेला पूरा डायगोनल संभाल के बैठा है. एंड अभी मुझे लग रहा है कि गेम ओवर हो गई है, बिकॉज रुक टेक्स g2 शुड बी एबल टू फिनिश द गेम इन अ सेकंड. लेट्स सी इफ विकराज फाइंड्स इट. Bishop takes g2. Bishop takes g2 is not a bad move at all, because bishop takes g2 also does attack this knight. But the thing is that rook takes g2 could have finished the game a bit faster over there. But regardless, I'm sure that Vikraj will win that game in a while. Now we have the another top game that is between Kushal and Vikram. Vikram has the ID chess 01234. So we have a classical, we have a normal French defense advanced system in this situation: e4, e6, d4, d5, and then e5, c5, c3, knight c6, and knight to f3. तो आइडिया यहाँ पे ये होता है कि सारा का सारा ब्लैक का प्रेशर इस पॉन पे होता है. ब्लैक ने जितनी कोशिश करनी है नाइट को यहाँ पे ले जाके इस पॉन पे प्रेशर डालना है. वाइट का आइडिया ये होता है कि वाइट ने किंग साइड से अटैक करना है, और ब्लैक ने क्वीन साइड से अपनी एक्सपेंशन करनी है. बट द पॉइंट इज कि यहाँ पे क्वीन टू b3 इज नॉट सच ऑफ अ गुड मूव, आई वुड से, बिकॉज क्वीन टू c7 के बाद d4 एक्सचेंज करने के बाद इस पॉन पे बहुत ज्यादा अटैक आ सकता है. एंड क्वीन टू b5 इज again not a good move, because bishop to d7 tempo के साथ एक development piece मिलेगा.
So Vinay, do you think Kushal has a chance to win this game?
Well, अभी तो हम opening phase में, so we can't really say that who has a chance to win this game, but we can say that Kushal is playing a bit recklessly इधर, because उसने अपनी क्वीन को ओपनिंग में 5 बार मूव कर लिया. ऑन द अदर हैंड ब्लैक के ऑलमोस्ट सारे पीसेस डेवलप हो गए हैं. सो ब्लैक फटाफट कैसल करके अपने क्वीन साइड एक्सपेंशन के लिए अटैक के लिए जा सकता है. And there's nothing really white can do in this situation. On the other hand, on the other board, we have another top game going on between Shreya and Vilakshan. Shreya is currently the leader of this tournament with 5 points on the board, and that is great to see. Looking at that, we have, okay, we do have a Sicilian defense. A Sicilian defense with an accelerated dragon. That's always amazing to see. So let's see how does Shreya handle this, because the idea in this is usually queen to d2. Let's castle over here. Bishop gets exchanged. Shreya does castle the king side. Now castling to the king side is a bit of a passive move by white in this situation. मैं कहता हूँ कि queen side castle करके अब जल्दी attack करोगे तो white को benefit रहेगा. But let's see what has Shreya planned out for Vilakshan in this situation. It's not every day you get to play against a Sicilian dragon. मुझे यहाँ पे व्हाइट के लिए ब्रेक थ्रू करने का ऑप्शन दिख नहीं रहा है. प्रॉब्ली अगर हम क्वीन को वापस लेके जाए e2 पे एंड देन f4 f5 चलाएं, एंड या क्वीन d2 के सपोर्ट पे बिशप को यहाँ लेके आए, प्रॉब्ली बेटर रहेगा. बट इट सीम्स कि Shreya is much more interested in the central expansion after the knights have been exchanged off. Let's see what is happening in this position over here. Okay, so Shreya's knight seems to be trapped. एक tempo लेने के चक्कर में knight trap हो गया. Oh shit. Now I don't think there's much of a way to save this knight. You know, knight मतलब यहाँ पे बैठा रहेगा bishop के support पे, but at any point of time when bishop gets exchanged or gets blocked for that matter, there is basically not even a single way to trap that to save that knight from the clutches of black species. Let's see what happens. अभी I think श्रेया को चीज का मेक श्योर करना चाहिए कि बिशप इसी डायगोनल को गार्ड करे, नथिंग comes in between and blocks this diagonal or exchanges the bishop. If that happens, she loses an entire piece and she would eventually then not be in the game. Knight to hmm knight to d1, knight to e8. Now that's a bit of a troubling move from black over there. I don't really see what's the point of knight to e8. Probably black wants to go f5 and on for an early attack. f5 के बाद अगर we get a chance to exchange of, yeah, there we go, we have f5 by black, and after the f5 we would probably have an f4 with provoking the black dark square bishop to move somewhere else and try to grab this knight in the vicinity of black's pieces. That can take place at some point of time. Okay, she took it with the rook. That is interesting. That is entirely interesting. On one hand, we have white playing completely on the c file. This entire file is within white's clutches. यहाँ पे दो rooks हैं और यहाँ पे दूसरे end पे हमारे पास एक f5 पे we have black playing with rook and queen in the situation. यहाँ पे एक रुक एट्थ रैंक से अंदर घुसा लिया है व्हाइट ने. दैट इज वेरी वेरी डेंजरस, बट ब्लैक इज आल्सो क्लेवर. इज लाइक, तो एट रैंक ब्लू क्या क्या आएगा, मैं अपने सारे पीसेस वहां से हटा लूंगा. एट्थ रैंक पूरी खाली पड़ी है व्हाइट के पास. एक रुक बैठा है अंदर, बट देयर इज नो पीस एट ऑल इन द एट्थ रैंक व्हिच रुक इज अफेक्टिंग. आई वुड से कि इस नाइट को अभी किसी तरह बाहर निकाल दिया जाए ऑन द सपोर्ट ऑफ दिस रुक तो व्हाइट के लिए अच्छा रहेगा, एंड देन दिस नाइट कैन बी टेकन इनटू द अटैक. बट let's not rule out black currently because black के पास ये back rank weakness का काफी अच्छा benefit है. For some reason, if he decides to go queen to e5 and then look to the back rank, it should be a nice and easy checkmate for white. So white has to be careful here. Well, back rank से check पहले दी रुक ने and then queen से check दिया. I would have preferred the opposite order of moves, but regardless, this move is very, very dangerous, directly threatening mate in this position. And I would say that after this move, we get this move, and then white's in a very, very troublesome situation. हो सकता है कि white यहाँ पे easily mated हो जाए. Okay, we have a check from the queen. I would have preferred a check from the rook because अब यहाँ पे ऊपर की तरफ हमारे पास एक अटैकर कम रहेगा इस फाइल को रोकने के लिए. But who knows? Who knows? Probably white is able to save himself. Probably not. From black, I would say कि इस position में knight check would be a bit of a better move. So if knight goes to e4 and then the king moves because knight is already on the support, and then you can, if king goes here and then you can go bishop to e5, and that can make for a good checkmating plan. Other than that, I don't really see a good continuation. Probably rook to d6, rook to d3. This move doesn't make much of a sense to me because yeah, we have this escape square from h4, and now I don't see a way to continue on with the attack. We can probably go queen to h7, queen to h2, and then attack this pawn in order to give a check and probably checkmate. Oh right, ये pawn pinned पड़ा है, so that's a very clever move by Vilakshan over here. This pawn was pinned on the support of this knight. The rook has basically checkmated the king in one, and even I missed it. So kudos. Let's see. Currently, tournament mein Vikram is leading with 2, 2, and 4 points. So for those of you who do not know, 4 points are the arena streak points. So arena streak basically refers to whenever you win 3 games in a succession. So you get 4 points, and you basically have 8 points in all.
So, Subhra, do you think Vikram or Shreya can win this game?
Yeah, well, that game is already over. I guess Vilakshan has won that game. We'll wait for a new game to come out on the top board.
No,
Vilakshan
Vikram,
ने checkmate कर दी.
yeah. Who do you think will win? Because over
Okay.
here we have Vikram with 1520 rating and Shreya, which has a low rating.
Well, Shreya does have a 1222 rating, Rishan, up there on the top. But the thing is that it's too early to say because abhi game shuru hui hai. We still have the French advanced position on the board, and this position seems to be like the one they are very familiar with. अगर यहाँ पे विक्रम goes for g4, that's nice. अभी knight to c3 is a very precarious move because knight to f5 के बाद knight to a4 is basically a compulsion, और फिर queen वापस d8 या c7 पे जाती है, and then white के लिए अच्छी continuation दिखती नहीं मेरे को यहाँ पे. queen to c7 के बाद basically bishop to f4 या g4 आता है. So bishop to f4 या g4 के बाद ही we can say how does the game proceed, because queen to c7 intends to put pressure on this center e5 pawn. This knight puts pressure on the d4 pawn. h3, I would say h3 थोड़ी गलत move है, but then wait, what just did happen? She gave up an entire piece for 2 pawns. Why would Shreya do that? Okay, Shreya ने एक नाइट दिया ये दोनों पॉन्स मारने के लिए. नाउ ऑल्दो सेंट्रल कंट्रोल इज द थीम ऑफ फ्रेंच, sacrificing a piece for that is not really advised, I would say. But let's see how does this sacrifice work out for Shreya. So यहाँ पे I would say white can easily just trade off pieces and look forward to having the upper hand in this game. Um, Rishan, would you like to continue?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So now we have a battle against whoever wins this game. We have Vikram versus Shreya. Now, if Vikram wins this, he will be at a 10 point streak. But if Lakshima can beat, if Lakshima gets into a game and she beats her opponent fast, then she will be leading.
Okay, so we just have had the conclusion to this game. Queen to g7 was a smooth and nice fianchetto checkmate with the bishops supporting this queen and queen covering all the required squares. And it seems like Vikram has managed to cross Shreya off in this match, and Vikram is currently leading the tournament with 12 points. Lakshima is up there with 8 points. Then we have next game Vikram versus Ramanan King. Let's see how does that work out. So Ramanan King goes ahead and does e4, e4, and e6. Now this game does seem very counterintuitive to me because Vikram, उनका प्लेइंग स्टाइल देखते हुए नाइट f6 could have been a better option, क्योंकि फिर e5 के बाद नाइट d7 के बाद it basically gets transposed into a advanced variation. But now that we have had a win-hour variation on the board with bishop to b5, bishop to b4, and now e5. Okay, regardless, we have this game on our hands which has gone back to the advanced variation. After c5, now we have a3 on the board, and all hell's breaking loose because we really don't have much of an idea how to proceed with this. Bishop goes back. Okay, bishop exchange, and then we have queen here. This is well-known theory from Black's end, and Black's major idea, I guess, is to attack this pawn for the entirety of the rest match. But if white can somehow defend and go ahead with a quick succession, with the king side attack in quick succession, I would say that white would have the upper hand with bishop to d3, f4, and f5. So let's see what happens. We have queen on the a5 square. We have the pawns harassing the queen and just telling her to move from the in the board from one square to another. Vikram is playing this very sophisticatedly. We have queen to b3. Now queen is eyeing this square right here, and on the other hand we can have pawn takes pawn and bishop. Basically this diagonal should be able to take down the king, but Vikram decides to save his rook first. But then I would say ki knight to d2 should be able to save white's position also. So there was a missed opportunity for Vikram in that point of time. Knight to f3, and Vikram did not capture this pawn. I don't know what's going on over here, but I guess both the opponents are missing some chances, and probably d takes c3 was a definitive winning to this game. Now blight white might have some counterplay with queen on the f file, or we're trying to get the knight back and then capturing this pawn, and just removing all the worries that white has. Then bishop to d3 and short castle and then rook back into the game should be able to mobilize white's position fast enough. But white goes for a quick sacrifice on f2. Knight takes f2, king takes f2. What is white doing over here? We have bishop to d3 and then an entire attack on this pawn. We don't see a nice defense to the pawn. Knight to d7 is basically a compulsion, or knight takes e5 and knight guards this pawn over here. For the moment it seems like black has everything defended, but white has ultimately sacrificed a piece, so white needs activity. What will white do? Bishop to e4 seems like a very lackluster way to continue, but then again if that's knight and bishop would have been exchanged, तब तो white का attack ही ना बचता. So of course the bishop to e4 seems like a logical and a reasonable move. I would say the next move from white's end should be f4, kicking this knight away, capturing this pawn on b6, which was the whole idea of white. But Vikram says कि नहीं, मैं तुम्हें ना f4 नहीं करने दूंगा, पहले तुम bishop exchange करो फिर जो मर्जी करते रहो, because without the bishop white's attack is basically regardless useless. Bishop takes bishop, pawn takes knight is basically a compulsion in this move, and after the bishop is exchanged, it doesn't seem to me that white has any chances whatsoever. Pawn takes pawn should be able to finish this game in a while, but no, Vikram goes for a bishop takes pawn. He says, I will control both these diagonals, I'll checkmate the king right here, and I'll move on to being the top seed in this tournament that I am. And we can see that Lakshma has caught up to Vikram. Both of them are at 12 points, winning all 4 games of theirs. On the other hand, we have Vilakshan playing with Jagnoor, and their game is also going on in a heated battle. And we have Vikraj on the 4th place with 6 points. We'll have to see what happens further in this tournament, because it's heating up, guys. It's heating up. We have had queen to f4.
So Vinay,
We see some. Yeah,
do
go
you
ahead.
think Vikram can maintain his position?
Yeah, I could definitely think Vikram can maintain his position in this scenario, but let's not underestimate Lakshma and Vilakshan over here. Moreover, Vikraj was known to have given some tough competition to Vikram in the first match. There's a new player Aditi coming up on the top with 8 points on the board, and it's still early in this tournament, Tishan. I would say that anybody can go ahead and have some benefit in this tournament. It's tough to say right now. On the other hand, Jagnoor is giving a tough competition to Vilakshan, so we really don't have any clue what to go ahead and what to do and while going ahead. Yes, so going ahead, somehow Vikram was too late in capturing this pawn. This pawn, if captured, would have proved to have given all the advantage Vikram would have needed in this game, but nahi. Abhi इस पॉइंट कैप्चर करे बिना ये f5 पे जो अटैक है, किंग x-raying द पॉन ओवर हियर, वी हैव अनदर रुक कमिंग टू द g5. विक्रम सेज मैं g5 से रुक अंदर लेके आऊंगा, किंग को अटैक करूंगा. c5 पे मेरा एक रुक है, मैं दोनों तरफ से अटैक करूंगा, बट देन ही protect his position by rook to f2, and rook to f2 is a very clever move. Now what do you think black should do? We have a b5. Now b5 b4 is an interesting idea, but and b5 now also supports the rook on the c4. We have two rooks on the f file. We have Vikram ferociously attacking on the queen side. It's a very sharp game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very sharp game. Rishan, you can go ahead.
Surya, I don't know what to say in this position, and we can't predict who wins. We have Vikram, who has 2 minutes, and Raman, who has 32 seconds.
That's a very wise decision of you to mention the time, because although we can see that the game is on a sharp end, Raman does have lesser time. He has 32 seconds, and Vikram has 1 minute and 45 seconds. That's a huge difference, guys. That's a huge difference. Looking at the difference, probably Vikram might have the upper hand, regardless of how strong or weak of a position he has, regardless of how better of an attack Ramadan has on the f5. This time can dictate the consequences of the game in all the instants. The quick sacrifice within small timings, I would say that queen takes knight would have been a better piece of moves to go for in this situation, because, well, now king goes ahead and protects the knight. Queen goes to h3. Rishana can continue.
Yes. So if we see the top game over here, it's Lakshima versus Vilakshan. We have f6, knight to f6 by Vilakshan, and then g6 by Vilakshan. Now over here, Vilakshan, he played g7.
Yeah, okay. So the top game just changed. We have a game between Vikram and Vidyut now. We see that the position is kind of like a French exchange, and Vikram goes for a quick c-file attack over here, which is not an advised maneuver in the French exchange, but c5 and then knight to c3. We have a bishop to f4 in this position, and I am not so sure what white is planning, but white does have a better development than black in this position. c4 and d5, not such of a good idea in my opinion. So let's see how Vikram is able to manage his position out of this situation. Well, looking at this position right now, knight to a6 has been played to cover this c to c7 square, and it seems like a wise decision. Let's see how does the game proceed. Probably going ahead with, the knight has to come back for the some reason, because the queen has come and given a check over here while attacking the knight. So knight has to go back because the fork by the queen. I would say Vikram is now making some rapid development and white is making some irresponsible moves. But again, with bishop to e2 and castle and then rook to e1, I think the position should be quite equal. Queen is on the queen side, but the point is that if black does try to go ahead with anything on the queen side, white can always follow it up with a quick attack with h4, g4, and g5 on the king side. So we'll see what happens. We have a queen to d2, unpinning this knight. I would have preferred castling for white, but probably white is keeping his options open for queenside and kingside castle. But of course, going queenside castle in this position is absolutely foolish. Queenside castle would offer nothing, and that's, well, there is no denying that. So kingside castle has to be played in this position. If you look at the current standings, we have Vikram on the top with 16 points. We have Lakshan on the second position with 12 points, with Shubh and Laksima following him by 12 points, Vidyut with 10 points, Aditi with 10 points, Ayushman with 8, and then we have Tushal and Shira with 7, and Jagnur with 6 points in the 10th place out of the 42 contestants. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So Rishan, do you think that exchanging this dark square bishop was a good plan for black in this position?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? So what will you play? White takes the queen.
If white takes the queen, I'll play. So I'll
Did
play. I'll take the knight, of course.
Well, then you'd be a queen down. So what happened in the game was did take the queen, then bishop took this queen, and then king takes the bishop. So in the end of this entire variation, we see that Vidyut is down one piece. Bishop takes bishop was really the right call in this position, and well, Vikram has maintained the advantage he did have. Hmm. So who do you think should be able to win this game? I would say that Vidyut is piece down, so Vidyut does have a lesser amount of chances. Rishan, any clue as to who do you think should win this game?
I think Vikram should win this game
Right, and
because if if Vidit wins this game, then you see that Vidyut has a higher rating.
well, Vidyut does have a higher rating. That's nice to point out. Vidyut does have a higher blitz rating. So looking at this position right now and looking at Vidyut's rating, probably Vikram has snatched some good amount of positions from him on this position, and then bishop takes pawn is basically inevitable. Attacking this rook should go ahead, and then well, what did happen? Vikram did sacrifice the exchange for some reason in that position. Wow, what a tactic! What a tactic by Vikram. Rook takes bishop, rook takes rook, and then bishop takes pawn, attacking both the rooks. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And looking at this tactic, I would say that Vikram has managed to go from being a minor piece up to a major piece up. Now, before Vikram was a knight up or a bishop up, now he is a rook up. That said, he has just mated his opponent, bishop covering this square, and Vidyut covered the back rank. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Vidyut made that tactic. I'm so sorry. And within a second, despite being piece of Vidyut, did win this game. That was a brilliant tactic by Vidyut. And now Vidyut is up on the second place. Vikram is still on the first place with 16 points. But after that game, I would say that Vidyut does pose a very potent threat to Vikram. What do you think?
I think yes. I think yes.
Well, going ahead, Vilakshan has taken ahead in this tournament, having won all his games. He is now up at 16 points. He has taken over Vikram. Vikram is now on second place, and Vilakshan is at first place. Vidyut is still following up on the third place, but we have the top game going on between Aditi and Vikram. It's a normal Molars attack, and now deviating from the main line. And all right, so the top game just changed. Now we have Vilakshan playing against GM of chess. His student from Chess Mantra, Harfall, and Vilakshan goes for a quick French exchange variation and opens up the C file. So, Irishan, what do you think? Should Vilakshan be able to win this game? I would say that he has better chances considering the rating, but well, what's your say?
I'll say that I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you
All right
because
then.
same, the same reason. Vilakshan has a higher rating, and he's developed a lot.
Well, अभी गेम को देखते हुए लग रहा है कि द बिशप जो है यहाँ पे इस डायगोनल को अच्छे लेके बैठा हुआ है. अगर किसी तरह चांस मिलता है व्हाइट को ये डार्क स्क्वायर बिशप एक्सचेंज करने को व्हाइट स्क्वायर बिशप के साथ, इट वुड बी बेटर ट्रेड फॉर व्हाइट फॉर द मोस्ट पार्ट आई वुड से. तो देखते हैं कि इस पोजीशन में क्या चल रहा है. प्रॉब्ली क्वीन टू C2 एंड रुक टू C1, या फिर रुक टू C1 करके नाइट टू B5 एंड व्हाइट व्हाइट को ज्यादा इशू नहीं होना चाहिए गेम जीतने में. नाइट टू E5 वाज अ वेल डिटरमाइंड मूव. अभी इसके बाद F4 चल के नाइट जो है बिल्कुल सेंटर ऑफ द बोर्ड में बैठा रहेगा. उसको कोई वहां से हिला तो सकता नहीं. बट देन नाइट टू E5 करने के बाद ये पॉन जरूर दे दिया है ब्लैक ने व्हाइट ने. सो नाइट टेक्स D4 इज व्हाट वी हैव. नाइट टेक्स D4 के बाद द पोजीशन जो है अभी बहुत ज्यादा डायनामिक लग रही है. कुछ भी हो सकता है यहाँ पे. द क्वीन is attacking the knight in the center. The queen यहाँ पे आ रही है. The knight is sitting in the center with no regards whatsoever. So we'll see what that happens in that game. अभी we have new pairings. शुभ ने लगातार लगातार उसने 2 गेम्स जीती हैं and वो एकदम से 24 पॉइंट्स पे आ गया है. That is very unexpected. And on the other hand, विक्रम ने अपनी अगली गेम जीती तो वो 18 पॉइंट्स के साथ नंबर 2 पे चल रहा है. Vilakshan is still playing that game with 16 points and he's on number 3. Vidyut is on number 4. We have a tough competition on our hands, people. Tough competition. So, who do you think is a better chance, Rishan? Shubh to 6 point आगे है विक्रम से. So, do you think Shubh will be able to take the prize home in front of Vikram?
Yes, can be, but we can't
Can
predict,
be.
right? We can't predict. We can't predict.
Well, of course, हम predict तो नहीं कर सकते, but current standings देखते हुए I would say Shubh has a better understanding. And जैसा ही मैंने ये बोला, we see that the we have a game between Shubh and Vikram on our hands. Number 1 and number 2 player of this tournament currently. So that will be very interesting to see. Vikram has gone for a Dutch stonewall type structure. I guess he missed C6 in his moves, but he would be playing it soon, I'm pretty sure. After bishop to D3, and we'll be waiting when white plays C4 in this instant. Bishop to D6 is what black should play. मेरे को लग रहा है क्योंकि bishop to D6 के साथ में ये bishop जो है यहाँ पे थोड़ा लड़ाई करता है. बट देन ये bishop क्योंकि F4 पे बैठा है, ये diagonal लेके बैठा है, तो फिर bishop D6 पिलाना थोड़ा मुश्किल रहेगा. सो प्रोबेबली नाइट टू E5 सही मूव लग रही है मुझे इसकी तरफ से. नाइट टू E4 के बाद ब्लैक का प्लान शुड बी G5. बिशप पीछे जाएगा, एक्सचेंजिंग दिस बिशप एंड देन गोइंग बिशप टू D6 एंड कंटिन्यूइंग ऑन विद द अटैक ऑन द किंग साइड. रुक टू F6, रुक टू H6. Let's see what happens in this game. Okay, so white goes C3. शायद एक चांस है ब्लैक के पास यहाँ पे G5 जाने का, या फिर नाइट टू D7 पहले जाएं फिर G5 जाएं. दोनों में से कुछ भी कर सकते हैं एक्चुअली. व्हाट डू यू थिंक रिशान, व्हाट इज अ बेटर मूव, नाइट टू d7 और g5?
I'll say G5.
g5. Well, Vikram did play knight to d7. g5 could have been also a very well played move, but after knight to d7 we have knight to e5 on our hands, and now we have g5. अभी यहाँ पे बिशप को g6 पे जाना ऑलमोस्ट फोर्स्ड है. बिशप g6 या फिर बिशप टू h2. मैं प्रेफर करूंगा कि बिशप h2 पे जाए व्हाइट की तरफ से, एंड बिशप h2 पे गया, क्योंकि बिशप h2 पे जाने से ऑफ कोर्स एकदम से एक्सचेंज तो नहीं हो रहा. बट अभी पोजीशन देखते हुए बिशप टू d6, yes, बिशप टू d6 seems like a very well played move. बिशप टेक्स e5, एंड बिशप टेक्स e5 के बाद f टेक्स e5 अगर हम यहाँ पे करते हैं, सो ब्लैक के पास से पूरी यूरोप की फाइल ओपन पड़ी है अटैक करने के लिए. क्वीन f6 पाएगी, यहाँ पे अटैक को एड करेगी, एंड देन वी हैव नाइट गोइंग टू c6 बिकॉज ऑफ सम रीजन. किंग टेक्स एंड देन पॉन टेक्स द नाइट. आई वाज नॉट सो श्योर कि नाइट को c6 पे ले जाने का पॉइंट क्या था. नाइट ने c6 वाला पॉन मारा, बट अगर ये पोजिशनल सैक्रिफाइस शुभ ने करा है तो हो सकता है इसका कोई रीजन हो. प्रोबेबली नाइट टू c6 का पॉइंट ये था कि अभी बी फाइल खुली हो गई है, ये स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर एफ फाइल खाली पड़ गया, ये पॉन बहुत ज्यादा वीक है, एंड विद द e6 पॉन सो वीक, ब्लैक डज हैव सम व्हाइट डज हैव सम चांसेस ऑफ काउंटर प्ले. इस पॉइंट पे अगर अपने सारा अटैक व्हाइट फोकस करे, he should be able to make the best of his game in this position. So रिशान क्या लगता है, व्हाइट इस पॉन की वीकनेस से एक्सप्लॉइट कर पाएगा?
I think so. Yes,
You think
he
so?
could do it.
But अभी तो सिर्फ क्वीन अटैक कर रही है, so one queen attacking a pawn which is already defended by two pieces and more can defend it. Do you still think that he has a chance to exploit the weaknesses of this pawn?
Yes, he has a chance. But we don't know.
Well, वो पॉन पे वीकनेस एक्सप्लॉइट करना तो भूल ही जाओ, बिकॉज विक्रम ने बहुत ही क्लेवरली इस पॉन को पुश करके डिस्कवर अटैक खोला, एंड देन क्वीन हैज मूव टू दिस पॉइंट ऑन द बोर्ड, एंड we'll see that with the discover attack open on the board, the queen is basically trapped. एक अकेली क्वीन इस पूरे एरिया में बैठी हुई है, क्वीन के साथ में कोई भी नहीं है, इसलिए मैंने सोचा मैं एक्सचेंज ही कर लेता हूँ. नाउ आफ्टर एक्सचेंज ऑफ द क्वींस वी आर क्लियरली इन द एंड गेम, एंड देखने से लग रहा है दिस गेम शुड बी विन फॉर ब्लैक नो मैटर व्हाट. ही शुड नॉट बी एबल टू फेस एनी प्रॉब्लम्स इन दिस गेम. टाइम भी ऑलमोस्ट इक्वल है. दिस रुक इज वेरी वेल प्लेस्ड ऑन द एफ फाइल. ये पॉन चेन बहुत अच्छी है जो इसका आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं. ये डी पॉन आगे चल सकता है, ऊपर से ये डबल पॉन. दिस शुड प्रूव very difficult for white to manage
And
unless
if you see, Vikram is also bishop up.
well, yeah, Vikram is also bishop up because white ने अपना बीच में एक piece sacrifice करा था, and moreover वो double pawn मिल गया है. So as I said, this game should not be any problem for him whatsoever. अभी विक्रम ने इस नाइट को मारा इस पॉन से. आई वुड हैव प्रेफर्ड कि जी पॉन से मार के इस फाइल को मेंटेन रखता, बट रिगार्डलेस दोनों दोनों मूव्स वर गुड इनफ टू विन दिस गेम. If you look at the rankings now, Shubh is still up on the top with 24 points. Agar Vikram a game jeeta, he will get 2 points on the board and he will get 20 points. He will still be on number 2, but Shubh ki winning streak khatam ho jayegi. So Shubh will be having to start the next game by gaining 2 points and then 4 points next time onwards. So probably Vikram does have some chances after all. एंड ऑन द अदर हैंड विलक्षण की जो गेम थी वो अभी तक चल रही है. विलक्षण ने अपनी गेम जीम ऑफ चेस के साथ खत्म नहीं करी है. सो ऑल्दो विलक्षण हैज वन ऑल दिस गेम्स, if he keeps playing this slow, he might just end up being falling short of the first place after all. But still, अभी भी टूर्नामेंट शुरू हुआ है. We are 47 minutes left with the tournament, so who knows, Vilakshan might pull through with 2 or 3 quick games.
I completely agree with you.
Okay, looking at this game right now, यहाँ पे व्हाइट चाहता है कि वो इस फाइल पे थोड़ी सी बैटरी बना के तंग करे. ब्लैक को, बट ब्लैक को ज्यादा इशू नहीं होना चाहिए इस पोजीशन में, बिकॉज ऑल्दो ये पॉन्स डबल पड़े हैं, ब्लैक एक कंप्लीट पीस अप है। इफ दिस पॉन इज सपोर्टेड फ्रॉम द बैक, किंग को सेंटर में ले जाया जाए, दिस शुड नॉट बी मच ऑफ एन इशू फॉर ब्लैक को एट ऑल। बट किसी तरह ऐसा लग रहा है कि ब्लैक को थोड़ा इशू आ रहा है अपनी विन को सॉलिडिफाई करने में। सो प्रॉब्ली रुक टू f6, लेकिन नहीं, विक्रम गोस किंग टू f7, ब्लॉकिंग दिस रुक फ्रॉम दिस पोजीशन। आई वुड से वो अच्छी मूव नहीं थी विक्रम के एंड से, एंड इट कुड पोज सम प्रॉब्लम्स इन द फ्यूचर। We do have king to g7, and now rook to f6, exchanging the rook should be good enough. Let's see what happens. But अभी currently rook to f6 के बाद we'll have rook to d7, and after rook to d7 फिर rook to f7 वापस जाना पड़ेगा। So it's a clearly a mess in that position. But किसी तरह अगर black अपने एक रुक एक्सचेंज कर ले या दो रुक एक्सचेंज कर ले, ब्लैक की बहुत इजीली ये गेम विन हो जाएगी। द क्वेश्चन इज हाउ विल ब्लैक डू दैट। अभी we do have a check in coming from d7. Let's see if white decides to give it or not. धीरे धीरे प्रेशर बढ़ता जा रहा है, एक अप पोजीशन होने के बावजूद, पीस अप होने के बावजूद विक्रम यहाँ से विन नहीं निकाल पा रहा है, इसका इफेक्ट उनके टाइम पे दिख रहा है। वो अभी भी शुभ से ओवरऑल टाइम में पीछे चल रहे हैं, and Vilakshan has gone on to the second position in this tournament. वो अपने गेम फाइनली जीम ऑफ चेस के साथ जीत कर, and now he has 20 points on the board. So this is a very tough competition. Dishan, who do you think in तीनों में से who should emerge in the top? You know, you have Shubh, Vilakshan, you have Vikram, and you also have Vidyut.
I think the most chances of going up in the top is Vilakshan.
Well, that is a very bold claim, but you know, looking at the rating, मैं मानता हूँ कि आपने जो बोला that has a very high chances of happening. So we'll see what happens. Currently अभी भी टॉप गेम जो चल रही है वो ये चल रही है शुभ एंड विक्रम की, एंड ये क्या हुआ, एक सेकेंड, right? So somehow he managed to did exchange one of his bishops, and after this rook goes here with a check, and then यहाँ पे एक फोक लगा and rook takes bishop. Now we finally दोनों के पास equal pieces हैं and equal amount of pawns हैं। Somehow because of time pressure विक्रम ने अपना advantage give up कर दिया है, and looking at the current position, मैं कहता हूँ कि ये गेम ड्रॉ हो जानी चाहिए। बट ये पॉन जो है बहुत पास है क्वीनिंग के, ये पॉन मर गया है, एंड दिस किंग इज गोइंग बैक अगेन। सो प्रोबली इफ विक्रम गेट्स एनी चांस एट ऑल इस किंग को आगे ले जाने का, फिर रुक से इस फाइल को मीटिंग करके फिर यहाँ पे पॉन पुश करके मेट करने का, दैट इज पॉसिबल, दैट इज एंटायरली पॉसिबल। So ये गेम देखते हुए लग रहा है कि after this शुभ has basically resigned because this pawn cannot be stopped. ये c pawn अपना queen कर जाता, and that being said we have a new game on Shubh's hand, and after losing that game
So
to
Suvani, tell
Vikram
me,
in
so
yeah.
Suvani, tell me, was Vikraj developing his queen a good move?
Well, Vikraj developing his queen is never a good move. Beginners को हम हमेशा समझाते हैं कि beginning of the game में queen जल्दी नहीं निकालनी चाहिए, जितनी जल्दी निकालोगे टेम्पोज मिलेंगे, queen पीछे जाएगी, सामने वाले की डेवलपमेंट होगी, एंड यही हो रहा है यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे देखो मेट बचाई, अभी यहाँ पे c3 f3 चला है इस पोजीशन, इस मूव को रोकते हुए, बट इट्स ऑफ नो यूज बिकॉज पॉन टेक्स पॉन एंड देन नाइट टेक्स पॉन, एंड देन एक और टेम्पो आ गया। अभी क्वीन को पीछे जाना पड़ेगा, अभी क्वीन पीछे जाएगी, फिर बिशप यहाँ पे आएगा। सो of course it's never a good decision to bring your queen out so early, uh, and we can clearly see the impacts of the decision in the standings that the players have. Abhi Vikraj number 12 par, on the other hand Shobh is on number 1 in this tournament. So uh, and now that the bishops have been exchanged, it's completely beneficial. And the queen takes knight. Okay, Vikraj just blundered his queen for a knight, and this game is basically a wraps. Should be able to win this game very easily, and इस game के अंदर should prevail. So, do you still think Vikraj has a chance in this game, Rishan?
Can you please repeat?
Do you still think Vikraj does have a chance in this game, Rishan?
So Vinay could have, but now nobody can predict. We're not fortune tellers that we can predict that if uh, Viraj can keep up with Shubh.
Well, the thing is, I would say show big queen up here, so uh, there should not be any chance. Queen takes b2 over here, attack, threatening checkmate, attacking this rook, which will further attack this thing. Now we have checkmate on our hands. The queen takes knight checkmate ho gayi, just as I said. So uh, the thing is that blundering that queen, Vikraj basically gave the game away. But you're right. At in some points, it is difficult to predict.
Yes.
Let's wait for the next game to come up. And after this victory by Shubh, he is back up on. He's still up on top at 26 points, but Vikram के पास अभी 20 points है, Vilakshman के पास 20 points है, and we have Vidyut with 18 points. So again, Vilakshan is playing a game with Aditi currently, and we have another game with Shubh uh, against Ramanan. All right, and ये कैसी opening है? Looking at the current position, I would say कि white is going for some sort of passive structure, but black is going for rapid development. So आपको लगता है कि डार्क स्क्वायर बिशप एक्सचेंज करना यहाँ पे वाइज डिसीजन था ब्लैक के लिए?
Yes, it's a very good decision. I'll agree with you, and it's a very good decision.
Well, the thing is that I would say कि डार्क स्क्वायर बिशप एक्सचेंज वैसे तो यूजुअली नहीं करना चाहिए ब्लैक को, बिकॉज most of the positions black has uh, the dark square bishop for black is useful for at least 90% of the attacking opportunities, while white square bishop for white is very useful for the 90% of attacking opportunities. So यहाँ पे देखा जाए तो board पे we have white square bishop, we don't have the dark square bishop. So most probably this is the difference which will make the entire thing in the game go redundant. But अभी देखा जाए तो f4 and after exchanging that bishop आप देख सकते हैं कि शुभ ने f4 चला, वो डायरेक्ट अटैक के लिए गया, he brought this bishop back. अब ये bishop यहाँ पे अटैक कर रहा है, exiting this pawn which is usually the choke point for black. तो अभी देखते हैं इस पोजीशन में क्या होता है. On the other hand, black is like मैं भी अपना bishop खोलूंगा, तो bishop black ने although dark square bishop exchange करा, उसके पास अब जो है he is making the best use of it. And ये bishop बहुत बड़े diagonal पे यहाँ पे king को aim कर रहा है. If somehow queen gets within this diagonal from here to here, we already have mate threads going ahead. So let's see what happens. And Shubh has covered that diagonal for the time being with the move d4. And but the thing is कि d4 से उसका खुद का bishop भी block होता है, so everything comes at a price. And we now also have queen to h5. On the other hand, अभी हम देख सकते हैं there's a game between Laksima and Vilakshan.
And Vilakshan is leading right now.
Yeah, Vilakshan is leading right now with 28 points. So 28 points is a big deal. And we have हमने बहुत बार देखा है कि विलक्षण ने इस टूर्नामेंट में विक्रम के अगेंस्ट भी खेला एंड विलक्षण के अगेंस्ट भी फ्रेंच एक्सचेंज खेला. सो आई गेस विलक्षण's main aim is to get everybody out of their comfort zone, which is not such of a bad, you know, strategy. And French exchange with c4. And now the point is कि ये एक्स्ट्रा पॉन मिल गया विलक्षण को. c5 पे एक आइसोलेटेड पॉन है, रुक यहाँ पे आएगा, इस पॉन के ऊपर अटैक करेगा, यहाँ पे नाइट जाएगा, वी हैव कैसल्स, वी हैव रुक ऑन द e file. एंड it seems as if कि विलक्षण को ये easy win मिल जानी चाहिए. Looking in this variation, abhi black should be able to castle. Okay, black goes to knight to d6. That seems like a bit of a useless move to me because bishop can, of course, जैसे कि विलक्षण गया, bishop can go back to g3, sorry, b3, and maintain the pressure on this diagonal. Abhi castling, that is why castling is not possible, because if castling does take place, then there will be a check in the position. So I get why moving the knight was so important in this position, but white is having some rapid development. So, एक second. Okay. Looking at this position right now, I would say that Vilakshan के लिए it should be quite of an easy victory now. He's offering a queen trade, and Lakshma basically declines. Looking at the position right now, queen trade decline करा, लेकिन फिर रुक मार लिया. So Lakshma is making a lot of slip ups in this game, and Vilakshan is able to take the entire advantage of the set slip ups.
So
Let's
Suvin,
see how.
Lakshma can like defeat Vilakshan because Vilakshan is right now leading and Lakshma is on the 8th place. So you can see the difference.
Yeah, so I never said Lakshma can defeat Vilakshana. I did say that, you know, Vilakshana is making a lot of slip ups in this position. So, and just as I said, I would say that King to H8 was a wise move, unpinning, but it's too late, too little. And I don't think there's much to go on about in this position right now. Knight to h6 was a very careless move, giving up the bishop just like that. And now we can go ahead with bishop takes knight, and well, it seems as if Vilakshan just has another victory on his hand. Vilakshan seems to be the only player in this tournament जो अभी तक एक भी गेम नहीं हारा है. So, and with 2043 rating, it doesn't seem like कि उसको हराना इतना इजी रहेगा किसी के लिए भी. I'll be eagerly waiting for a match between Vilakshan and Shubh, or Vilakshan and Vikram, to see if they do stand a chance against Vilakshan in some capacity. Looking at the positions right now, I would say Vilakshan बस एक game जीत के he'll be up on 32 points. On the other hand, we have a game between Shubh and Ramanan. So Shubh and Ramanan की games में the material is quite equal, but Ramanan does have the advantage.
Suvin, if we go back to Lakshma and Vilakshan's game, right now they just exchanged queens. Was that a good move?
Well, I think that timer might be a bit misplaced, Rishan, because if you look at the position right now, Vilakshan has already won the game with a back rank checkmate, uh, and exchange took place way before. So that game is already over. We'll move on to the next game.
No, the
And
game is over. Even I can see that. But do you think exchanging the queens was a wise move?
well, yeah, Vilakshan was already upon material, upon time, upon position, and had the initiative. Any person who has that position should be exchanging queens any chance they get. So now we have a game between GM of chess and Vilakshan, and Vilakshan this time goes for a Sicilian defense, and we have seen him playing this move order before, the accelerated dragon, and let's see how does GM of chess handle it. He goes with a quick f4. He wants to attack within the right in the beginning of this position. f4 castles and then f5. लेट्स सी अगर ये प्लान सक्सेसफुल होता है जीएम ऑफ चेस का एंड वो जल्दी से अटैक कर पाते हैं. That was a new approach to this position by Herford. So let's see what happens. On the other hand, वो गेम जीतने के बाद विलक्षण is now up at 32 points with a winning streak in his hand. So विलक्षण अगर ये गेम भी जीत जाता है, he'll basically be unreachable for quite a while. But we have 31 minutes left in this tournament, so never say never.
Suvin, so right now we have E1 queen to e1 by game of chess. But if we go one move back, we have could Vilakshan do this to knight to e3 fork to queen and rook? Would
Well,
that be
that was the idea for bringing the knight to b4 in order to attack the a3 bishop, but that was again, that's why GM of chess played queen d1 in order to prevent the fork. And regardless, after three moves अभी विलक्षण ने वो बिशप एक्सचेंज कर लिया है, एंड वो बिशप एक्सचेंज करने के बाद ये बहुत ही अच्छा पिन लग रहा था क्वीन को, एंड आफ्टर दिस पिन टू द क्वीन आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी कमिंग बैक फॉर GM of chess in this game. And Vilakshan is on a roll. Vilakshan is on a hot winning streak and nobody is able to stop him. He has had won a total of 10 games in a quick succession, 36 points, 10 points ahead of the second seed in this tournament, Shubh, who has 26 points, and Vikram is back there with the third position with 24 points.
now
So
we
let's
have
see.
the top game from GM of chess and Jagnoor.
Yeah, GM of Chess and Jagnoor have the are currently battling it out. Jagnoor seems to be playing in a very different fashion and not going for the main lines. But let's see what happens. That is what Jagnoor is basically known for, and he's on number 5 right now. While on the other hand, we have a game between Vilakshan and Aditi. Uh, and just for reference to all the viewers out there, Vilakshan is playing so strong currently because Vilakshan is the youngest rated player of Chess Mantra after the international master Himal Gosen. So you can see the performance that he puts out reflect his talents via Chess Mantra in this tournament. We do have a normal Jacopano or an Italian game in this position. Let's see what the Diti goes for.
We have 29 minutes left in the tournament.
29 minutes is quite a in like a considerable time. We'll see अगर विक्रम वहाँ पे ऊपर आ सकता है वापस, या फिर probably if Shubh gets any chance. But अभी देखा जाए तो Vikram is on third place with 24 points. Shubh has 26 points with second place, and Vilakshan is on the top with 36 points, currently having a match with Aditi in Jacopano style opening. Looking at this position right now, d5 थोड़ी सी immature move थी in my opinion from Aditi's end, but the position is still playable. And after bishop takes knight, rook takes bishop, अगर बिशप को डेवलप कर लिया जाए तो व्हाइट का व्हाइट स्क्वायर बिशप लेने के बाद, एंड ब्लैक स्टिल रिटेनिंग हिज डार्क स्क्वायर बिशप, ब्लैक कैन हैव सम चांसेस ऑफ अटैक, एंड आई वुड बी वेरी सरप्राइज्ड to see if Aditi is able to pull this off. Although देखा जाए तो Aditi इस टाइम में बहुत ज्यादा पीछे है. She is approximately 1 minute behind, and in the 5+0 game that holds a lot of weightage. So currently looking at this position, we have an f5 by Aditi. It seems like Aditi बोल रही है कि मैंने white square bishop मार दिया, अब सीधा अटैक करेंगे, अब किसी की नहीं सुनेंगे हम. So that seems like a reasonable explanation, but then you have to be wary कि आप क्या कर रहे हो. देखो white square bishop मारने के बाद आपने जो pawn लिया था वो pawn वापस दे दिया. And okay, so we have rook pinning the knight and then the pawn supporting the knight in this occasion, and उसके बाद well, the game is going completely haywire. Knight takes knight, pawn takes bishop is possible, and after that I would say कि Vilakshan has taken back this game on his own terms. Queen up है, वो knight up, knight and bishop are already matched with equal points, and then we have two rooks versus two rooks. Moreover, black के पास वो दो double points इस position में, so it doesn't seem to me कि Vilakshan is going to lose this game anytime soon. What do you think, Rishan?
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with
Well,
you.
looking at that, we have been looking at Vilakshan's chronicles in this tournament for quite a while now, and on the other hand, we have Shubh and Vikram who are trying to catch up to him. Shubh is currently 28 points, and Vikram at 24 points. Vikram is currently playing a game with Vidyut, the number 4 player of this tournament, who has 22 points. So the games are still interesting, and it seems like Vidyut has taken a hold of this game, and Vidyut did beat Vikram, and now Vidyut is back up on third position with 26 points. So still there's a tough competition for second, third, and fourth place, but it seems like Vilakshan तो आगे निकल गया. वो तो first place लेके बैठा हुआ है. So easily with the 40 points, because now after these two queens and a rook on the board, it doesn't seem like the Aditi is going to win this game anytime soon. Now we have queen checking the king. King is required to go on the other side of the board, and well, it's two moves and game over, checkmate. So Vilakshan is up there with 40 points now, and it doesn't seem to make it within the next 25 minutes कोई भी उसके ऊपर catch up कर पाएगा. That being said, I'd like to thank Learn with Sayyam channel to organize this event, including the Activity 1 and Activity 2 on occasion of 26th January, the Republic Day. It brings up a sense of patriotic feeling in everybody, and chess is an integral part of our life, everybody here in Chess Mantra. So thank you so much, Learn with Sayyam channel. That being said, we'll continue covering these games ahead. And now we have a game between Vilakshan and Dushal with e4 on the board. So, Rishan, do you think there is any chance at all कि Vilakshan इस tournament में एक भी game हारेगा?
No, there is no chance. The way he's playing right now, there is no chance. So over here, I think Dushal resigned with him. Yes. If you see, Dushal is scared from Vilakshan. He has literally resigned from the game.
Yeah, that is very interesting to see. Dushal did resign the game on the first move, and Vilakshan is just racking up points like nothing else. उसके पास 44 points हैं. Vidyut on the second position has 30 points, and then finally we have a worthy matchup. Vilakshan versus Vidyut, number 1 versus number 2. If anybody has any chance to probably put an end to this madness right now, probably Vilakshan and probably Vidyut. And ये तो दोनों अपने bishops p and check तो कर लिए हैं. And then we have a d4, d6 and a c5. So this game is very interesting. d takes c5, d takes c5, and then bishop आता है यहाँ पे g5 पे.
So, Vinay, do you
Knight.
think queen, which is on d8, to exchanging the queen, which is on d1, would be a wise move?
I would
From-
say कि दोनों में से जो भी player queen exchange करेगा, they would be giving up the 5, because then the opponent would be taking the queen with the rook, and जिसने rook से queen ली, वो d5 उसको मिल जाएगी. So दोनों को d5 चाहिए. So दोनों technically queen exchange नहीं करेंगे unless and until उनको कोई piece नहीं मिलता है. So
and if you see the d1, the d8, the d1 file is an open file.
हाँ, तभी it has so much value. That is why nobody will exchange the queens themselves. But देखा जाए विलक्षण ने भी queen exchange कर ली है after exchanging the knight and the bishop. He is going for complete activity. He doesn't care कि फाइल अगर उसके पास आ गई है, वो बोलता है कि मैं फाइल देने के बाद नाइट बीच में बैठाऊंगा और उसको आउटपोस्ट बना के फिर फाइल वापस ले लूंगा. So that's a different mentality altogether. अभी ये नाइट बिशप को अटैक कर रहा है, threatening to fork the king and the rook. So it's necessary कि अभी king g2 जाया जाए या फिर rook to e3 खेला जाए. Bishop to g2 was also a wise move, but then हाँ bishop to g2 के बाद knight ने on मारा, and then rook takes rook, and then probably the rook will go and save itself from the captures by the knight. So अभी हम ये position देख रहे हैं. It looks as if कि Vilakshan is 1 pawn up, and for a player like Vilakshan with 4 minutes and 24 seconds left on the board, and with 3 minutes and 48 seconds left, 1 pawn advantage should be enough to win this game.
And Suvane, we got to keep in mind, Vilakshan's win rate is 100% and burst rate is 0. Means he hasn't burst rate any game till now.
Well, yeah, that is what's the idea is. I did mention that earlier because Vilakshan doesn't need to berserk right now. Vilakshan aram se 14 points से tournament lead कर रहा है, and when you're leading the tournament like that, there is no need to risk your time in order to get more points. And that being said, Vilakshan with 2043 rating and playing with all the players seated below him. And in this game, playing with the pawn advantage, it seems as if his win streak is going nowhere. Looking at the other players, we would say that,
So Vinay, I have a question for you.
yeah, go ahead.
Now, what if Vikram gets plays matches and he gets a streak, and then later Lakshan has a match with Vikram, and
Well, the thing
Vikram
is,
defeats Lakshan. Is there any chance?
there is always a chance, but the thing is that even if that happens, Vikram will not be able to take over Vilakshan in the terms of points because there are 18 points of a gap and 20 minutes left in the tournament. Every match, even if played as fast as possible, even if Vikram uses Berserk, it would approximately take around 3 minutes. So you cannot have more than 6 matches. So Vilakshan के भी 6 मैच लगेंगे, Vikram के भी 6 मैच लगेंगे. I don't think that there is any capacity whatsoever in which Vikram will be able to catch up to Vilakshan. The only player who can probably catch up to Vilakshan in this situation is either Shubh or Vidyut, and that is also looking thin right now because Vilakshan 7th rank का control लेके बैठा हुआ है and 7th rank का control एक बार हमने ले लिया end game में, so the game
But we have to keep
usually.
in the first game Vilakshan played was with Shubh, and he won from Shubh. So do you think Shubh can take revenge?
Well, yeah, of course he can, but अगर गेम जीतते भी हैं, there's always a chance Vilakshan can lose a single game, but tournament अभी currently हारना doesn't seem that probable to me. Uh, Also looking at the current situation, Vilakshan has two passed pawns. He has a passed pawn on the G file, he has a passed pawn on the uh, E file, and the king is going ahead to do a nice king and rook checkmate. Vidyut has no chance at all to win that game. So, looking at the current position, I'd say that Vilakshan is pretty much a determined winner of this tournament right now. Preemptively, of course. Okay, we have a king to f4 and a king to f1. Well, विलक्षण से इसकी हमने किंग बहुत आगे पीछे कर लिया, अभी किंग आगे लेके जाते हैं, फटाफट चेकमेट करते हैं एंड we'll move on to the next game. That being said, on the other hand, we do have a game going on between Vikram and Ramanan.
So
Uh,
Vinay, so now what if Vidyut is able to get Vilakshan's rook? Will Vidyut be able to win against Vilakshan?
Vidyut can get to Vilakshan 0, but it's not really possible because Vilakshan का देखा जाए 3 मिनट बाकी है, Vidyut has half the time Vilakshan has, and so there is much less of a chance that Vilakshan will blunder the rook than Vidyut will. And moreover, Vidyut is pushing for a win over here. Vilakshan तो already ये game technically जीत चुका है. He has 3 pawns. He has a 2+1 majority on the king side. And eventually देखो विद्युत ने भी गेम रिजाइन कर दी है and Vilakshan is up there with 48 points. 48 points is not a joke, fellas. 48 points is so much more than how much the players on second, third, and fourth rank do have. And what's the breaking news is that Jaganur has taken over Vikram in terms of points, and he is now on fourth place while Vikram is on fifth place with 28 points. Jaganur has maintained a crazy win streak of 6 games, and well, apart from the first position, the game's heating up. I would like to make all the viewers remember the first 3 positions are the ones that would hold a cash prize reward. So that said, currently इस
Vinay,
गेम के
I
अंदर
don't know why, but the second last player of the tournament is the channel Learn with Siam, who has lost 4 games.
Well, it just might be someone who has entered the tournament and tried to, you know, showcase their abilities and see what is going on. But what's really important is we pay heed to the top games going over here in this tournament. And looking at the current game between Vilakshan and Akhil Goyal, it seems like that bishop back there isn't really doing much in this position. So dark square bishop from black is very poorly managed. I would say कि यहाँ पे knight to e5 and then c5 and then bishop either should be a better course of action for black. But let's see what does black plan to do. And after bishop to d3, knight to c5 is not even possible. So now we have bishop going to this position, trying to pin this knight, and then the knight is exchanged. So well, knight takes pawn, and then this knight is attacking the bishop in this position. Again, Vilakshan seems to be having a really easy time finishing off these players at this position, and regardless of whatsoever is happening, it seems like his win streak is going absolutely nowhere. On the other hand, we do have Shubh catching up with two more games, and he did win a game recently. And now we have a game between Vikram and Shubh going on. So that will be an integral game for second and third place, fellas. Because Vikram was able to go ahead and win his game and then take back his fourth position from Jagnoor. Um, so looking at the current game between Vikram and Shubh,
So, Vinay, do you think
well,
we
that's
have
pretty
a
interesting. Yeah.
top match, Vilakshan versus Akhil Goyal? Do you think Akhil Goyal has a chance over here?
Akhil Goyal doesn't seem to have much of a chance over here again because of the fact that he's 30 seconds behind on the clock, and he is basically his rooks are inactive. His bishop is kind of placed on the wrong diagonal. So I would say that Vilakshan does have a very easily better position in this scenario. But of course, if Akhil is able to manage his time well in the next few moves and make some good moves, he did take a pawn on b2, so that is a good sign. And if that does take place, then probably Vilakshan might lose the first game of this tournament, but it seems highly unlikely. Okay, so looking at this position right now over here, bishop does give a tempo to the rook over here, and the rook is supposed to go to some place which, well, is safer than the set place. So I would say that rook to d3 is a viable move in this position. And but the issue with rook to d3 is that we do have bishop to e4 coming in, but then rook is covering the e4 square. So, well, a lot of stuff is happening. The bishop seems to be attacking this knight, and the bishop does seem to be attacking this rook. Vilakshan seems to be taking his time to identify what to do, because the thing is, if bishop takes knight and bishop takes rook, rook takes bishop, that might seem like an advantage to white at the first, but you have to understand that the rook was also protecting this knight. So then we'll have as a consequence rook takes knight in the future. All right, so Vilakshan just roped in that bishop like nothing else, and after taking that bishop, uh, Akhil had some really nice forks planned out. So he gave that bishop to the rook because he knew that there was this fork on the board, and after that fork, the king moves, knight takes the rook goes to attack the knight has to go back to the previous square attacking this bishop goes to take the pawn, and well, it looks like Vilakshan is, for the first time ever in this tournament, in a bit of trouble because he's exchanged down. The rook is attacking both these pieces on this file, and they're basically vulnerable. The knight is well protected by the rook, and this open file is well useful. We do have these two connected pass pawns, these two connected pawns, and then we have these three pawns. But the issue is that black might have a bit of, you know, issues with the back rank in this position. So that's something we have to be wary about. Okay, so the knight goes to this position, attacking this knight, attacking this rook in this square over here. Let's see what happens further. I would say that from white's end, yeah, rook to d3 is a useful move of sorts. Looking at this current position, Dishan, what do you think? Do you think that Vilakshan might just lose this game because he is an exchange down?
So Vinay, sure it could happen, but if you see, sure it could happen, but we can't predict. Only if Vilakshan does another blunder over here and Akhil Goyal knows how to punish him. There you go.
Well, I would say that although Akhil is exchange up, there is some you know, back rank issues that he might be facing. So probably after h6, uh, Akhil should be able to well win this game. And what's interesting is for the first time ever, Vilakshan is also lower on this clock than his opponent in this position. So it's always there are always new incidents to see. It's not like any player is invincible of some sorts. Uh, of course, Rook goes to
Vinay,
this place,
do
attacking
you
this knight
think
twice.
do you think do you think Vilakshan could be smart enough to do a checkmate over here? Because I can see a checkmate over here.
Well, the checkmate can only take place even if the knight moves and then Akhil allows the rook to come to the back rank, and that just might be a possibility.
Most likely, most likely, Akhil will play. I'll
I
say
would say that it's better for Akhil to play h6, just
yes.
keeping it supple and simple. Even if the rook comes to the h rank, then move go to king h7, and everything is fine just as it was.
He just
Yeah, and
played.
Akhil just goes for h6, uh, and I
Or
don't
in
think
this, or in this scenario, do you think rook to a8 was a better move than h6?
rook to a8 was not really a well advised move, but it could be played. The thing is that h6 does save your like problems forever. If you go rook to 8, then the rook is basically held up
I
protecting the
mean,
back rank in
even
the
if the
h5.
even if the rook comes to do a back rank checkmate, you can easily uh, take the rook, be it.
Well, the thing is that the rook to 8 would keep the rook held up on the 8 square for the entirety of the game, because then the rook cannot basically move because the checkmate would happen. So I would say h6 was a much subtle move and useful for black in this position. Later he goes rook to 8 because I feel like his plan is to double his rook along the d file, and that should be a well enough position for black to take it home. If that does happen, then probably Akhil would have some points to his name. But what would be more important is that if Vilakshan does lose this game, Vidyut will have some chance at all in order to catch up to Vilakshan. On the other hand, we do have a game going on between Vikram and Shubh, and Jagnoor and Vikram and Shubh are in a tight competition of their own, uh, battling it
But
out for the third place. And moreover,
but
Vidyut
would it
also has
be quite
34 points.
embarrassing? Would it be quite embarrassing for Vilakshan to lose against Akhil Goyal, who's on the sixth position, who's on the sixth position with 25 points?
Well, the thing is, although 25 points and 48 points do spell out a difference, and so does the rating. And rating wise, probably Vilakshan could have done better in this game. He doesn't really need to win the game. He might be playing just for fun in this situation because he has already kind of won this tournament. Even if all the other players win all the other games that they have, Vilakshan, it's tough to catch up with Vilakshan is sitting at 48 points.
Yes, that is true.
So what's more interesting in this position is I would say the second and third position, because Vidyut, Shubh, Jagnoor and Vikram, all of them are battling it out for second and third position. Four people, two positions, who will get those positions. The point is that in the current situation, Vikram and Shubh are having a game, and that game might just be the decider of the following. Looking at the game between Vikram and Shubh, Vikram is an exchange up, and the
Akhil's timer is up. Akhil's timer is up.
wait, what just happened? Oh man, Akhil was doing so well in this game, and Vilakshan just had to stall it out. He geared it himself. He accelerated his move order in the very end, and the time went out. Here we were thinking that Vilakshan might just rope in and loss for some end, but no, Vilakshan is like, I will
Vilakshan,
maintain my win.
Vilakshan is,
And then
Vilakshan is still
Vidyut,
leading with 56 points.
Vidyut starts up a game with Vilakshan, and Vidyut goes ahead and completely resigns. He's like, that I might just play this game and I might lose it, but then I would be also losing my second place. I don't want to lose my second place. So Vidyut is like, I'll be playing some other opponent. I'll be keeping in my second place. I don't want to go for the first place. And that's a wise and practical decision by Vidyut in this situation, I would say. So although Vilakshan does get 4 bonus points, Vilakshan just seemed like to be a very definitive winner for this tournament. On the other hand, Vidyut and Shubh, they are they have equal points in the second and third place. Vikram has 28 points with the fifth place, and Jagnoor has 32 points with fourth place. So I would say that at this point of time, the positions are basically decided. Vilakshan being the first, with it being the second, and Shubh being the third. Because within 5 minutes, it's difficult to win two games and then go back out on second and third place. What do you think? Do you still think Jagnoor has a chance to go up on top
Yeah, he has a chance. He has a chance. Only if
with
he can.
4 minutes on the clock?
Yes, he has a chance. Only if he win. Only if he wins 4 games.
Well, I would say winning 4 games within 4 minutes is not practical at all in this position. So, uh, well, if he does manage to win 3 games in some succession, probably, but I would say these are the decider and final rankings. Vilakshan is having a game with Shubh currently, and I am seeing that game being broadcasted onto the top board right here. And this game seems like to be hmm, a very counterintuitive one, because although he has f4 played, both the bishops of Shubh are eyeing onto the queen side diagonals, and that is not something that I would endorse. So I would say that the better course of action for Shubh might be just going knight to f1, king to h8, rook to g8, and then going with g4, g5, going for a quick attack, going queen to d2 and bishop to h6. Probably a better course of action, but I would say that Shubh's pieces are not playing in harmony, while all Vilakshan has to do is stall him out for 3 more minutes, and the victory is his. Vidyut just drew his game and he's up on 39 points, and he's like that even if Shubh does win the game, I would be probably winning another one in the background and I'll be maintaining my second position. Vidyut and Shubh do have a very close competition going on. For some reason, if Shubh is able to win this game within 3 minutes, Shubh is accelerating his moves, then he might just go up on the second position, but it seems highly unlikely. So we have rook to e8 by these players, and Vilakshan is like, I control the open files given to me. This knight has been sitting there for too long, and I don't like it over there. So the rook does control this file, the queen does control this semi-open C file, and the rook controls the semi-open B file. Everything seems to be well within control.
We also have a game of Jagnoor versus Vidyut. Do you think Vidyut has a chance? No, Jagnoor has a chance to win. Isn't it?
I would say Vidyut, you're talking about Shubh?
I'm talking. No, the game we have in the top games. The second game we have Jagnoor versus Vidyut, and I'm talking that does Jagnoor have a chance to win this?
Well, I am not really following the game. I'm following the top game in this instant. But the thing is, even if Jaganu does win that game, it doesn't really matter because it will award him 2 points. He will go up 34 points, and 34 points are not at all enough to either open third or the second place, so the positions will basically be the same. What is interesting to see is in the very end, Ira is able to come up with 32 points in the fifth place, Ayushman 30.6th place, and Vikram is left behind. The person who was earlier in the first place now back on the seventh place. So looking at the current position, I would say that if Shubha is able to pull this off in 1 minute, he might just get the second place, but it's again seems highly unlikely against a player like Vilakshan. Now that the pieces have moved, I would say that the rook is still controlling the semi-open b file. Queen is controlling this semi-open c file. Queen was just exchanged, knight takes queen, and after the exchange of queens, there is no chance at all that Shubh might be able to group this up. I would say that rook to b7 could have been a better move in this position, but well, he's looking to exchange the knight with the bishop. This knight is sitting at a very pretty square with a nice outpost, and the bishops were exchanged. And now there's a double attack on this pawn with just a single defendant, and there is no way to defend this pawn further. So, well, we do have d4, and he gives up the knight in the hopes of pushing this pawn to victory, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. And it seems like Vilakshan is going to win yet another game. The tournament has ended, and we have a winner, folks. We have Vilakshan up on number 1, we have Vidyut on number 2, and we have Shubh at number 3. Vilakshan giving an impeccable performance with 100% win rate, 0% burst rate, with just 15 games played and winning all of them. It was a sure treat. So we'll just wait a while and wait for everybody to finish up their games, and then we'll have some questions with the contestants who are present in the meeting right now. We have Jagnur currently over here. So Jagnur, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Jagnur. So now the tournament is over, and who do you think was the toughest opponent you faced?
Toughest?
Yeah.
Vidyut.
Vidyut. Okay, so
Yep.
you think Vidyut was the toughest opponent you faced? Well, that's true. Vidyut did come in second, and are you happy with your position?
Yes.
Yes, so you came in fourth, and that's great to see. Did you think you have a chance to come third at some point of time or come second?
Second तो नहीं, लेकिन थर्ड मैं बेसिक वो रेट लगाना शुरू कर दिया था आयुष्मान पे.
अच्छा.
अगर मैं वो ना
अच्छा.
लगाता तो माइट मैं जीत जाता मैं भी.
Probably. चलो कोई नहीं. Fourth place is regardless a very nice place amongst the people, and
Fourth is also a good position. It is.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So that's it. It was great to have you. Now we'll be going ahead and having some questions with Ira, the girl who came fifth. Ira, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Ira. So the people have not met you earlier, so can you just introduce yourself to the viewers over here?
So I'm Ira. I learn at Chess Mantra, and I am in 5th grade.
Well, Ira, you came fifth in the tournament. Are you happy with your position?
Yes.
Yes. तो आपके हिसाब से सबसे मुश्किल ओपोनेंट कौन था?
I think Raman 8 King.
Raman 8 King. Yes, he was playing very nice with different tactics and everything. So that's a well-rounded answer. तो आपको लगता है कि कोई टाइम था किसी पॉइंट पे आप बेटर पोजीशन ला सकते थे?
Yes, one time I gave my queen for a rook. It was a blunder.
Oh, chalo, koi nahi. Blunders happen in this game sometimes, and regardless, having fifth position and winning like last में आपने लगातार 6 games जीती, that is a very nice achievement, and keep up, Ira. Uh, Now we would have, let's have,
So can is Vikram here? He was here earlier.
all right, we'll have some questions with Vikram. Yeah, Vikram has probably left the meeting right now, so you won't have Vikram. We'll have Ayushman regardless. So Ayushman, can you hear me?
Yeah, Shubhne.
All right, Ayushman. So आप 6th आए, 30 points थे. आपने बहुत सारी games खेली इस tournament में. You played a total of 21 games. Like a lot of people played lesser games, so 21 games are a lot of games. So how do you feel coming sixth in this tournament among so many people?
Well, actually, I feel great because it was my first tournament, and
Nice.
and
It was a first tournament.
yeah. So I feel great. I honestly didn't think I would come in the top 10, but it's great I did. So, Ayushman, who was your toughest opponent you faced? I think it was Tushal.
Dushal, right. I can
Dushal.
see that you played 3 games with Dushal and it drew all the games. So yeah,
No,
I would
actually, I lost 2 and drew 1.
with Dushal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, probably, but I'm looking at the logs, so it says that you did lose 1 and you drew 2. It's all right. Regardless, we are well satisfied with your answer. Dushal did play very well in this tournament. He came in 9th, and it's great to have you on the 6th position, Ayushman. Uh, Great talking to you.
Thank you.
So all of us who are present over here, we will be having the winner for the tournament, Vilakshan, soon in this meeting right now, and we'll be having some questions with him regarding the tournament, and then we'll be going ahead and having some closing statements at the end. Let's see if Vilakshan is here. Yeah, well, it will take some time to for Vilakshan to come. In the meantime, we can, of course, see that the games were very interesting. Vilakshan had a impeccable winning streak, and basically he did not much of blunders at all. So he was up there with 56 points. Then we have the second place Vidyut, and he had a 72% win rate with an 11% berserk rate, and that is also a very commendable performance. And in the third place, we did have Shubh with 38 points. Vidyut and Shubh had a very tough competition, but in the end, Vidyut did emerge out on top, and it was very exciting to see this. Well, let's say, well managed competition. Rishan, if you would like to continue.
Yeah. So, once we had Lakshima leading.
So, all right.
Once we had Lakshima leading. So should we ask you questions?
Sure, Rishan, you can go ahead and ask some questions to Lakshma. Lakshma, can you hear us?
Lakshima, can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Arey, thanks for giving me a chance. My name is Lakshima. I study in class 3rd. I take training from Chess Mantra. Thank you.
So, can you tell us what was your toughest opponent, or who was your toughest opponent you faced?
All are better than me. All are better than me, and everyone was my new challenge.
Okay, so thank you for being here and answering our questions, and thank you.
Now we do have Vilakshan Mehta in the meeting right now, and it's great to have a Vilakshan. Vilakshan, if you would just switch on the video and like to answer some questions.
Hello.
Yeah, hello Vilakshan. So we did observe all your games in the tournament. It's great to see such a impeccable winning streak of 15 games. In the end, I would say your second last game with Akhil, it was quite a cumbersome game. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you were in Exchange Town, and it was interesting to see you in the not in the driving seat for once in a while. Uh,
Yes.
but overall, how would you judge the level of the players you played with in the tournament? Any specific player who stood out to you?
Mm, wait a second. The player GMOF chess.
GM
At
of
one moment,
chess.
hmm. At one moment, I thought I would lose to him in one of his game.
Well, yeah, he is a pretty resourceful player. He does study in Chess Mantra right now, Harfall. So, Vilakshan, I know about your previous chronicles with Chess Mantra over here earlier. You did have some coaching. So, can you tell us sir, about your experience with Chess Mantra?
My experience has been great. I have learned from chess mantra approximately 2 to 3 years.
That is nice to hear. And I can see that as a result, you do hold a 2046 Blitz rating in light chess and a pretty respectable ELO rating in the real life also.
Hmm. Yes.
How much is your ELO rating, if I may ask?
My world rating is 1511.
1511. Wow, that's quite an achievement. Uh,
Uh,
so
s-
looking at
uh, so, Vilakshan, could I ask you a question?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
You had a match with I forgot his name. You had a match with someone named Akhil Goyal, right?
Wait a second. Akhir Goyal.
yeah,
Akhil Goyal.
he's talking about a second last game.
Mm, wait.
Akhil Goyal 0007.
Um. Yes. Yes.
So, if we are reviewing your game, so do you think he was a tough opponent for you?
Wait. Yes, he was a tough opponent. I guess I was exchanged down till the last of the game, till the ending of the game.
Yes,
And
you
also,
kind.
you're such a rated player. So, could you give some advice for younger players?
I guess he just panicked in the time pressure. Otherwise, he would be able to beat me, most probably.
All right. Yeah, that's true. He did have 3 seconds in the end, and you did have 11 seconds. It was quite an exciting game. Uh, so Vilakshan, outside of chess, what are you currently doing right now,
I'm
professionally,
right.
or are you?
I'm right now in a college, first year. I'm studying BCom from DAV College.
All right, that is great to hear that you're studying BCom from DAV College. And do you think chess played a role in your admissions at all?
What? Please repeat the question.
Do you think that chess played a role in your admissions at any point of time as an extracurricular?
Um, Not right now because I have not played chess since 3 or 4 years.
All right, so
But
you did have the
uh,
1500 rating 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah,
All right, all right. But it seems as if you are back in touch looking at this tournament right now. So you might just want to consider going ahead and start running for ELO rating back again. Uh, and it
yeah.
was great having you in the tournament over here and great having you on the stream right now. So thank you for answering our questions. I guess we
Thank
can
you.
go ahead and lots of congratulations for coming first in the tournament.
Thank you.
Is so we can go ahead and you know for the closing statement right now if the
Okay.
organizer wants.
So Vinay, right now the Learn with Siam, uh, so the organizer hasn't joined yet.
All right, no issues. So regardless, all the people who have watched this stream from the beginning to end and follow the tournament, thank you for tuning in and looking at all the games, listening to a commentary, and trying to support the players that you like. It was definitely a nail biting experience and great games for everybody. We can will be going ahead with the closing statement, and we'll be addressing the prizes to all the winners, Vidyut, Vilakshan, and Shubh, in the future after the tournament is over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.